Okay.
We're live. Good morning, good afternoon. Good evening to you, Dorothy. Welcome to Talk to Me Africa, because it's night for you, it's afternoon for Gloria and I. So good evening to you and welcome to Talk to Me Africa. Today I'm so excited. I am so excited because I'm talking about friendship with friends, people I have known for so many years. We share a lot in common and so many beautiful memories and support and sisterhood and love. Ah, I wish this was in person so I could give you ladies a hug, but thank God for technology. We can do this virtually.
That's right.
Welcome. First of all, let me go to Dorothy, who is out of the country. Welcome to Talk to Me Africa again. You've been here before.
I am so delighted to be here again. Honestly, Mabel. This is an opportunity that you're serving us on a platter, for us to share our stories, our authentic stories, and to share our own side of the narrative. And it's always an honor to be here.
You look lovely, Dorothy. You look so beautiful. Thank you for being here. And Gloria, I call her Awaka.
I know.
Welcome to Talk to Me Africa. It's your first time. I'm so glad we made it.
Thank you. Thank you. Is it my first time? I thought I'd been here before, but maybe
I've been
not.
planning something with you, but we had to start today. Welcome to Talk to Me Africa. I'm so delighted.
Thank you. Thank you. I am so delighted. I feel honored to be here because, first of all, I get to spend some time with you. I love that. We don't spend enough time these days.
We do
So
not.
This is awesome. Yeah, I know. But to me, this is it's fun. So I'm really looking forward to this time of conversation.
I think there was some telepathy happening. I bought a polka dot dress yesterday.
Oh,
I did. And I'll tell you where I want to wear it to, and you will be there. Trust me, you will be there.
Okay.
I'll tell you. Yes, I'll tell you after we're done. I was trying to tell you before that I'm going to be at this place. I know you'll be there, but you know what? This is what we call friend tuition. I don't know why I bought a polka dot dress, but I did. And you have a polka dot dress here today. Beautiful. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Today we want to talk about friendship. But before we do that, there's a common denominator among the three of us. We all studied journalism and mass communication at the University of Boya. So we are all NOS children, huh?
JMC stars.
JMC stars.
I know.
We all
stars.
Yes.
Children from Fortabe.
Yes, Fortabe village. I've never been to Fortabe, but not took us to Fortabe and back. So we can start claiming that.
To Fortabe. We found our luck in Fortabe.
That's right. Wonder girls and boys.
Wonder boy, wonder girls.
The thing about that department is you don't have to have been my classmate to relate. Gloria and I were classmates. Dorothy were behind us, but we share the same experiences, the same stories because of how the professors, the doctors, the teachers, the lecturers raised us. I say raised because we were their children. They treated us like children. They knew you in school and away from school. Remember one time Josh was like, so when your father died, I go, my father, how did you know my father died? I didn't tell you anything. He's like, oh, we know.
Yes.
He was checking on me. I'm like, oh, okay. So I really am proud to have gone through that department. What's your fondest memory about JMC? Let me start with you, Dora.
God, there's so many. I think my fondest memory, if I have to say, my fondest memory is actually meeting Eno Tanjong years after graduating from journalism and mass communications. I was in Cameroon the year before he passed. I think that was, I cannot recall what the year it was, but it was 1 year before he passed. And he'd been sick, he had had a stroke, but he was recovering, he was on the mend. I went to Cameroon and I went to Yaoundé to see him. So he was working in Yaoundé and we talked and he said, Dorothy, he didn't even call me Dorothy, that's a lie. Fortune, if you are coming to Cameroon, you will meet me in Yaoundé. And I went to Yaoundé to meet him. And I swear, I sat there basking in in the presence of this great man, but also releasing memories from the past. It's just like a walk through memory lane, but at the same time being present, and I had a couple of my classmates who joined me for dinner with Eno, and it was so memorable. But if we have to talk about JMC, mind you, I wasn't one of Eno's best. I was one of those kids in class who got onto, like, I was riding on Eno's nerves. The kids who ride on teachers' nerves, that was me.
Oh.
And yes, yes.
But you ended up on
And
his good books because he had told you to write, was it his biography?
yes, his
Yes.
biography.
Mhm.
His biography. And he told me why he was always on my case. He was like, you're one of the most intelligent
Yes.
and
He always
one
saw
of the
potential. Yeah.
yeah, he always potential. And he said, and you're just wasting your potential. You don't need to be too serious, but you need to be a tad serious, just a little bit subtle. And when I left JMC and I was traveling to Germany, and I had to get into my master's program, and I needed a recommendation letter, and Eno wrote a recommendation letter for me. I still read that recommendation letter and cry and weep. Like, this guy, he wrote a recommendation letter for me that I don't think I have ever had such a sentimental, compassionate recommendation letter. Come to think of it, I need to frame it. I think I need to frame it and hang it up
Yes, you
somewhere.
should. I know you
Yeah,
can go
but
on and on about
that's
Eno. I mean, I like
yeah,
the fact that you're
yeah.
smiling because he is of late. May his soul rest in peace. But you're smiling
Amen.
Amen.
because of the way that
Amen.
he treated you, of the beautiful memories
Yeah.
that he left behind. What about you, Gloria? Abaka. I like to call you
Oh, I
Abaka.
know. That's how he called me
He
too.
call you
That's
Abaka.
he
Yeah.
called me Abaka. So I mean, so many. But recently, I was going through my emails. You know how you go through to try to delete like old emails. I saw one of the last emails he sent me,
Oh, wow.
asking about my family, the children. How are the children doing? He was always reaching out. But if we're talking about the fondest memory in class, it's the first day I showed up in class.
Yeah.
So I actually, maybe of them had started before me because I was still trying to figure out how to pay my school fees. So I came in when they had already started. So they already knew and know. So mind you, I just walk into class. I was just one late, coming from what's that boy, a town where you pay your fee, right?
Yeah.
And you come in, and I walk in, and I'm trying to just find a place to sit. He's like, "You, what's your name?" Oh my God. And I'm just, every eye was on me. And I'm not that person that wants to be out there. Like, I am so, like, I'm trying to talk when my voice is not even coming out, I'm just trying to say Gloria. I say, Gloria, who? I'm like, and then immediately I said my name. He said, you are the class delegate. I'm like, what does that mean? That's how, I don't think people knew that is how I ended up being the class delegate.
Class delegate. Yeah, I remember that day so well.
I just walked into class. That's how he called. Just said, you are the class delegate. I'm like, what's the class? Like, I don't even know.
What?
I'm just going to see right now. And I just found my place. Before I knew, though, he kept on. And then years later, he told me that when he saw me right away, he knew that I could be something that could do something. And I'm like, me, I don't have any leadership skills. I had never led anything. I didn't know how to do. I felt every time I went up to, and Mabel knows that, like, I would be shaking, my voice would be shaking, my head, like my whole body would be sweating, literally. But so anything that I do today in leadership, I lead a lot of things these days. And I really attribute that to Eno. He could see potential.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
That's really good.
That is so
And
beautiful.
Gloria graduated top of our class, so Eno was not wrong in just picking you out. Shout out to Ruth Lange, who is online saying hello to the J Stars who are talking here today. For me, I think my fondest memory about Eno was when I had an internship at P&T where I met Dorothy for the first time. For some reason, my internship letter got to Eno's house. And I don't know without cell phones how Eno got to me. And I went to Boya to his house and he gave it to me. And that was the day Eno blessed me. Enos said, how did you get this? I said, I just applied. He showered blessings on me that day. I cannot forget. I cannot forget. And who was this tall black classmate of ours? I think she's in Maryland now. She took me to Enos' house and I wasn't feeling well. And she held my hand. I was going down the steps gently. But Enos prayed for me and told me I'll do well. And that takes me on to how we met. So I went to P&T to start my internship. I met Dorothy, who welcomed me. I had no idea she was a JMC student. And Dorothy said, oh yeah, come, welcome. Let me show you sit, you know. She introduced me to places and all that. And by the time the day was ending, we went to her apartment. Was it Bokwango or somewhere up?
Yeah, it's somewhere around. I think
Yes,
it's
she took me to her
around
apartment,
supermarket
area. Sat down, ate, put, you know, back then DVD now, watch movie, ate. That was the first day I met Dorothy.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it has been consistent friendship till today. Fast forward, when I had my first job at Ocean City Radio, working for a couple of months, who showed up? Dorothy. I welcomed her the way she had welcomed me years earlier. We were so excited. And then we rented a house together. We became roommates, you know, in one house. We had our rooms, and then we went to an apartment, the same apartment complex. And then the rest is history. I think the friendship has lasted that long. And Dorothy, you have not changed. You've been consistent. You're that one friend who's an open book. And
thank you.
Yes, you put your vulnerability out there to your friends. And for Gloria, we met at school. Like she said, she came to UB after we had already started. I remember that day so well when Eno was making you the class delegate. You had a skirt that was a little bit flared. And
I cannot believe it. Oh no. You remember that?
I used to there. You had your back so confused. But you and I began talking in George's class 205. And for some reason, we sat down to take a test together and George said, write short notes, CNN, BBC. Remember that first class? I'm like, what is it right here? So we started together, we wrote it. And from there, we walked out of class and we just started walking out together and just talking. And it's been so long. And I am so blessed to have met both of you separately, but the friendship has lasted. Fast forward, Gloria came to America and reached out to me and said, hey, do you want to play DV lottery? I said, that's your man play. I'm saying, no, just try, you know. I'm like, okay, I will. And then I delayed until Doro at the radio when I went to South Africa for a short trip. Gloria had reached out to me and I said, Glo, I will come back, you know, I'll get back to you. I came back and I just said, Marinos, remember Marinos? Scan this picture, send them for the email. So he scanned and sent to my email. I sent it to Gloria. Gloria played DV and I won. What is friendship? What is friendship? This is how I see my friendship with both of you. From day one, you welcome me with open hands. Dora and I became roommates, became co-workers. Gloria, if I'm here today, even hosting these talk shows, because you use your hands and say, hey, this girl knew my information, my date of birth. Or she didn't even ask, she had it all. She was my friend. I just had to send a picture. And that was my first time playing the DV. You know, so if you don't have a friend who cares about you, when they go abroad, Dora, she was a student. But she played me the DV for me and I came to America with a green card. While she is a student, it takes a friend who loves you to do that for you. It takes a friend who is selfless to do that for you. So today I want us to talk about friendship. And as we do so, thank you for those who are online. Bomb Constantine. Oh my God, it's an Enos student, Ruth Lange.
I know.
We miss Enos so much. So let's talk about friendship. I think from JMC, you are just a friend to somebody because of the way that the professors led us. But today, let's talk about friendship, the three of us. What is friendship to you, Gloria?
First of all, we thank God for bringing us together. You know, as you were saying, like how we met, one thing I really admire about Mabel is her loyalty. I mean, everywhere I went, like I would just come out and she'll wait for me. She'll be there for me. You know, when you are away from home, we don't consider that we left home, we went to school, we're in Boya. And having left the family, there's not a whole lot of connection you have. But to have people that I think it was very organic for you and I.
It was.
Yeah, it was very organic. It was very natural.
Like, see, they say, they look at me, I say, 2 feet away, that's me.
Yeah, where's your sister? That's what I don't say. Where's your sister? So yeah, So friendship is just that closeness that you develop with another human being, right? It has to be another party. And there is a sense of neutrality. There's a sense of things that bring you together, a bonding. And the bond could be just based on the affection or trust that you have for that person or support. But there has to be a sense of understanding to the two of you. So that's what friendship is. It's deeper than being an acquaintance. Like I knew I had a certain level of friendship, multiple classmates, where you just know people at certain surface levels. But beyond that, you and I had a very deep friendship. We're almost like sisters. Regardless of what happened, you're still my sister. I would try to seek out for you and you would seek out for me. There is that neutrality. So to me, in a nutshell, it's
and we
a
had
bond.
nothing. What was I your friend for? I wasn't rich, you were not rich. I wasn't providing.
No, we were not. It wasn't material.
It was very immaterial.
No, it was,
Yeah.
but there are non-material gains that you can offer or things that you can offer in relationship. Like just the shoulder to lean on, the support, the one to speak with, the affection you receive. All of those things were of more value to us at that time. And also it had to do with the kind of our personalities. They had friends, people meet for different reasons. There are some people that will meet with you because we belong to the same class, quote unquote, right? Yeah. But it wasn't about that. It was more about just we had an affection and love and respect for each other. And it didn't matter if you gave me anything. I don't even remember us exchanging physical gifts. I don't remember that. But we were just friends out of the love and affection for each other.
Yeah. Yeah. It was so genuine. Dorothy, what's friendship to you?
So I have been blessed. I have been blessed with really, really great friends. That's one thing that if I can speak about relationships, I can speak really and really boastfully about friendships. Speaking about our friendship, Mabel, the one thing that stood out, from the get-go when it comes to Mabel was the acceptance. I wasn't everyone's friend. I wasn't the kind of person, my personality is quite different. I'm not a subtle person. I'm the person who stands out. I'm the person who is very, back then I was a riot. I didn't fit into the mold, if you could say that. I wasn't a good girl.
And you own it.
Yeah, and that was me. That was me, And the one thing that I felt between myself and Mabel was one, loyalty, and then there was that mutual acceptance. Mabel simply took me for who I was, and we just bonded and we had mutual growth. There was such a trust-based relationship between you and I. And there still is. Still is. I have to say that Mabel is one of my biggest cheerleaders. You know when they say people who would speak about you in the boardroom in your absence, that is Mabel. If Mabel would, I am
that is very consistent with her. Consistent.
180% sure. It's for me. It's just been such a compassionate, affectionate relationship with her. People build friendships based on maybe mutual experiences, maybe, the bond over time, over longevity, the bond over, maybe they've gone through a traumatic experience together. Maybe they've bonded over a happy experience. Mabel and I, we bonded over nothing. Like we bonded over just being ordinary humans and being open and being authentically ourselves. And that is the bond that we share. I have, like I said, I've had very, very blessed friends I have friends who have been my friends for 35 years, for 30 years.
That's
and
the one that
still
show
my
up,
friends. And are still my friends. I have what you call the 3 a.m. friends. You know, the
2
friends
a.m.
that I would pick up my phone and call them. They sit in the US, they're somewhere in Cameroon, and I'll call them. And they will sit with me in the mud, in that
Yeah.
sticky place, without trying to pull me out, just sitting with me, just being compassionate, just hearing me out, you know. And so I have been blessed with those kinds of relationships in my life. And I just love friendship. You know, I just love friendship because of how it's enriched my life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love how friendships that I have had over years have offered me personal growth, companionship. They've offered me support network. Even through my darkest of days, I knew that I could count on my friends, you know. So I think I am blessed. Not everyone is that blessed to have such long-lasting
I agree.
friendships, you know. And I am blessed. I've had friends for seasons. I've had friends
Oh,
for a
yeah.
reason, and I've had friends for a lifetime. So I've had
Yes.
all three, you
Yes.
know. So yeah.
Yes. Let me quickly chip in
Awesome.
here about we're supposed to have another person here, Dr. Mercy Ngesang, and she couldn't make it because of some unforeseen circumstances. But let me say this about her. I knew her since Form 1. So I've known her for over 30 years. And she came to America, I didn't know. And back then there were no cell phones. And when I also came to America, I met a mutual friend, Adeline Sede, in a state. We just went for Sidonie Pongwe's wedding, the court wedding. I appear, I see this girl pregnant. I say, who are you? From Form 1. So we talk and we exchange numbers. And I got to the friend who was supposed to be here today. And we talked. And then we lost contact. And then she found my contact. She called me again. We talked. And then we lost contact. She called me again. And she said, if I call you again, I go first beat you before we continue this friendship. So one thing I admire about that friendship with her is that it's so long and she kept coming back without thinking that maybe is proud or why do I have to go and look for her all the time? You know, she kept coming back like, are you okay? And then she just told me the warning, if I find you again. So sometimes you have friends who
Which
think
is
that because I've
so
called Dorothy
great.
2 times, she doesn't pick up. Oh, why can't she also call me? So do you think about friendship as a give and take? Or do you really have to love your friend unconditionally that if they don't hear from you, it doesn't matter how many times you keep going to them, you have to keep doing that. Should we do that in friendship to sustain it? Go back to your friend without saying, why am I the only one calling all the time? Should we do that in friendship?
You know, friendship can be 50-50. I don't know,
There you
unless
Oh,
you
go.
have a scale.
exactly.
There has to be a sense of shared or mutuality, like I said from the beginning. So the most intimate friendship, take for example, that from your husband and wife. You know how they used to say like marriage is 50-50. That's an illusion.
Yeah.
Any relationship that you're trying to build should be 100% and 100%. So give up yourself in a relationship, especially if you shouldn't be, you want to be able to be wise in relationships. So I want to be able to know that that person cares enough for me as much as I care about
Give
them.
up yourself.
Because then, because then it becomes exploitation. But when you have already known somebody like you and I, there've been times when we've not had contact for a while. But I didn't think for a moment that is because your friendship or the way you think about me is different because I've known you that long. So but I would say maybe that's a season. No, how Dorothy was talking about friendship going through seasons, you know. So maybe that's a season that my friend is going through because there is something deeper that we've created and it's a bond. So if they are gone, I trust that I haven't, we haven't talked not because of some kind of, proud reason or, ego or anything. Is because they can't make time in this season. And I still support them. I still support them regardless. So there are going to be times when you give up yourself. You'll be you invest more time. I remember when you first got here, you were in Michigan. And then I said, come stay with me.
Yeah, she's like, come here, come with me.
Come here. So it's and then you move over to the Twin Cities. We dropped you off in the Twin Cities. So it's you go through those cycles, but every time, I will email or and try to reach out. No matter the season, because I know her. Even if she's going through a moment, I know her personality.
Mm.
I have learned to love her the way she is. I like that about me, but she doesn't try to change you. She just accepts you.
Mm-mm.
I learned that from
Mm-mm.
her. So no, so friendship cannot be weighed on a scale, but you can be smart about it. We tell her, especially our teenagers, that are in school, you have to choose your friends, very well, because you have to have the same kinds of be leading, the goals that you share together.
Values.
So to make sure that, because evil communication corrupts good manners.
That's
So you don't want to
right.
be with friends that will, communicate something that will change your character. As long as you're building each other up, those are the things that I look at: shared values, shared goals. What are we giving? Are we investing the same thing into each other's life? Are we going the same direction in life? Those are the things I look for. It's not
I love
necessarily,
that.
am I getting this from this person, or are they giving me that? Oh, they didn't call me yesterday, so I won't call them. Oh, no, that is very, very, I want to say it's very childish.
Yeah.
Friendship that has developed and grown and matured over time does not behave like that.
Yeah. I like what you say, give up
I totally
yourself.
agree.
Give up yourself in a friendship,
Yeah.
not just in an intimate,
Yeah.
spousal relationship. Give up yourself. Yeah, Dorothy.
You know what? I really love what you just said, because friendships are not supposed to be transactional.
No.
That's right.
Friendships are not supposed to be transactional. You will meet people at, like I said, I've had friends who've been my friends for 35 years, girlfriends, right? And, the beautiful thing about our relationships, is we've met each other at different phases of life. We've grown with each other. We've grown apart. We've met again, converged at some point. We have met with different, you know, different emotional backbone, different mindset, different professional experiences. And in each stage of life that we've met, we have continued to be loyal to each other, And it's not because if this one calls me, then I feel like I'm indebted to calling her. My friends would call me and they would actually realize, okay, Dorothy is having a low moment. Let's give her a minute. Let's call her after 2 or 3 days. Why? Are you okay? Girl, why are you not picking up your phone? Are you okay? And it's not like, girl, why didn't you call me back?
Exactly.
So, and we, what I think about friendship is we grew up in a culture where we have been made to centralize relationships with men, and kept our relationships with girlfriends on the periphery, Meanwhile, for someone like me, my relationships with my girlfriends have given me more joy than any amorous relationship I've ever had with any man.
Beautiful.
They've been there for me in ways that no man has ever been for me. They've been people who have been put on my path to help hoist me up when my feet have failed to keep me grounded. So, and I think that that's something that we need to learn to do more, to understand that friendships and amorous relationships can coexist. They really can coexist. We seem to be in a phase, in an era where I personally believe that with the social media, with the demonstrative nature, that people shape friendships. People want, you see people on social media, oh, BFF for life. It's not BFF for life. There's nothing like best friends for life. There is best flexible friendship.
Oh, I love that.
Right? There's so in my own way of looking at BFF, it's about flexibility, and also we need to understand that because of the whole social media landscape and we're expecting things to be snappy. You call someone, that person needs to respond to you
I saw you online.
immediately.
Why not answer my call?
I saw you online. You posted something. I saw you post on the group. Why are you not talking to me? And we need to have that understanding that you might meet someone, even though that person is present on social media, but that person is just, just being, just whiling away time, not necessarily on an emotional path where they want to engage with
Exactly.
something deep,
Different, yeah.
or with something ephemeral. We have to
They're just in
meet
the
people.
space at that
They're just
moment.
in the
They're not
space at that
available for
moment.
you. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And good friends actually understand that. You
Absolutely.
know, they actually understand that. They don't
Yeah.
put you on a they don't put you to test when they see your green light on social media. Like, why are you
Mhm.
online and why are you not talking to me? And
You've touched
so
on two very
I
important things,
can't sustain
Dorothy.
that. I
Yeah,
no.
I know. I don't say that.
That's a lot.
And
That's too much.
that's in a way it's talking. Anyway, you touched on social media, touched on friendship between girls, which are two perspectives that I love we should delve into. First of all, social media and friendship, who are the BFF. I don't do ride or die. Now, two of you are my friends. I don't have to be wherever you are. I don't have to go on every vacation
mm-mm.
you go to. I don't have to go to every event to know you are my friend. Let your friends breathe. There are things that Gloria would do that I don't go to. I don't have to be there. Where we have to meet, we will meet. But this issue of ride and die friendship, if you see A, you must see B. I don't get it. It's not part of me. But now, girl friendship, you say that you've had girlfriends who have been more of a blessing to you than amorous relationships. Now, that touched me a little bit because we always think and believe that it's hard to sustain a female friendship between females. Is that true? And if it is true, why? Gloria.
That's the whole mission of my life to disprove that.
Amen.
That's why I lead women. And I keep saying, I want to disprove this whole idea that women cannot work together, women can hang out together. I think it's a fallacy. Now, have we given people that, that belief, or that women, because we are very emotional, we have to accept that. I don't want women feel like when they say we are emotional, that's part of our DNA. That's actually a
It's
plus.
beautiful.
It's beautiful, because women are very emotional, men are very intellectual or mental in a sense. They are more transactional in their relationship than women. Women, we invest a
Transactional.
lot of, yeah, we invest a lot of ourselves in relationships. So, yes, it's an illusion. Again, it's something that people believe, but that is not my experience. The longest relationships that I've had have been with women and female. Like, I have women in my life, from at every stage. I have women that are older than me that I've connected to, who pour into me. I have women that are my peers that we kind of check things over with. So I have women that, depending on what I'm talking about, because I'm also in ministry. So there are some women that I will call for certain things, that I will talk to. I say, what do you think about this idea? Let's pray about it. I have those women in my circle. And I also have women that are younger women that I pour into. And I've had those relationships for years. I'm talking decades in all of these
Mm.
relationships. I don't have any of such relationships with men, except for my husband. But I have some brothers and friends that I know from afar, because it gets to be too much, because men don't really invest themselves in relationships. They don't really care whether you walk away or you leave.
And then
So
for
in
one
that sense,
beer,
they're
let's drink
not.
a beer and then we're done.
In that sense, they're not as, flimsy. I mean, they, don't make a big deal out of it. And mind you, it's the same with men, even when men are in
Yes.
friendship. It's very transactional. It's more like they're meeting because of a goal. So if they're part of a leadership thing that they're working together, or a football, sports team, or some meeting that they're part of. So those are the things. After they leave there, the friendship is really gone. If you hear they talk, there's nothing that is more like very, you
They
can
come for a
predict the questions.
transaction. This one had a baby.
Right.
This one had a funeral.
Yes.
There is this sports
Yes.
thing. They're very
That is what it is.
transactional. Okay.
Yeah. But I
Yes.
can call you, for example, if I felt like, if I had in my mind to call you, and we'll talk until we
About
run out of
everything
things
and
to talk
nothing.
about.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And we just keep having all these things to talk about. We could just sit there. Sometimes I could even, like, some of my friends that I just take food and I'm eating, and we are kind of having a conversation while I'm driving back home from work, and I call. We talk out of nothing just for emotional connection, because you
Yes.
need that person in your life that you can talk to. And because we have more than that, when something, for example, we build history. So you don't just walk away from history, because I have something of you that has transformed my heart. When I can remember, I remember when you lost that auntie, that woman that lost the son. It was a son.
In California, yeah.
In California.
Oh, we cried together, Glo.
I know she called me about it, and every time she would just text me, and then I would just be talking. She would just be so, but I just was there to listen.
Yeah.
I knew that she needed that support in that moment. It wasn't because of anything, but I don't think men have that. They can deal with things.
Good one. It's so true, because this lady who lost her child wasn't a relative of mine, but I shared it with you, and you were so consoling. I agree. That's something that might not be something that a man would share with another man as long as we did.
Yeah.
All right.
Deal with it.
Yeah. Dorothy has a mouthful to say about how we can sustain or not sustain
female
relationships.
I want to build upon what Gloria said. She talked about emotional depth, and that has fundamentally been the tenet upon which women have built long-lasting relationships. I was listening to one podcast. I've forgotten which one it was, but I think it was from Mel. I've forgotten what her name is. Mel, who has the let them theory. I don't know if you guys know about that. The let them theory. Let them be. Let them do what they want. And you can live on with your life. Anyway, I'm digressing. But she talked about it's not Mel Gibson. I've forgotten what her name is, but something soon. But anyway, she talks about female relationships as opposed to male relationships. Now, female relationships, and this is how she described them. Like female relationships, women face each other. Yeah. And because they face each other, they go in depth. They go in intellectually, they go in emotionally, they share experiences, they empathize with each other, they have mutual validation for each other, they have mutual respect for each other. Men sit side by side.
That's right.
And then it's impossible for you to gaze. The eye is the window. Your eyes are the windows to your soul. It's impossible for you to gaze into someone's soul and to give someone the possibility to bear their heart, to bear their soul if you're sitting side by side. Men are hunters. Traditionally, they're hunters. And what does a hunter pride themselves in doing? In being above every other hunter, in being the best. So any show of weakness makes you a prey to the menfolk, right?
That's right.
But to us women, I can call Mabel and I would talk about I would bare my soul to her. I would tell her my most painful experience. I'll be as vulnerable as I can. But men cannot do that. And guess what? Nowadays, I don't know if you guys are following the trends on the evolution of society and how society is evolving, but with women taking up so much professional responsibility, really, women are growing intellectually. And in some cases, women between the age of 18 and 24, way higher than men, and what has become the evolution now is that men have become one of the loneliest people across the globe. We're seeing that in the US. The rate of suicide is increasing amongst male than amongst women. I mean, the statistics are out there. But guess what? Amongst women, why do we think that, the loneliness is instead going down? Why is that? It's because women are building communities of friendships. Women support each other. Women know that they can, Gloria, you're talking about how it's been your life's mission to support women and to show that women can occupy space in the boardroom, in leadership, in the kitchen, in the bedroom,
Oh, yeah.
in your mission, in
That's right.
church. You know, so guess what? We are hoisting more women up. And that's because we have these emotional roots, strong emotional roots, and that we can use to connect even deeper with women. You
That's right.
know, so honestly, if I were, like I was talking to my girlfriend in Canada, and one of the things she said was, you remember the Golden Girls? You
Yeah.
know, these
I used to
these
watch them.
women, remember? And they had,
Yes.
they could criticize each other.
There was a
They
Dorothy
share.
on there, by the
See
way.
There was
Dorothy
a
on there, yeah.
Dorothy in there. There was a Dorothy in there. Yeah. They could criticize each other. They could share jokes. They plant with each other. And that is for me the basis of female friendships. Building community that is based on emotional empathy, transparency, and strength.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
strength.
And strength and strength. I think if anybody says that it is hard to sustain a female relationship in terms of friendship, it's the person who has not experienced it.
Yeah.
It's not real, because yes, as women, sometimes there are instances where women are known not to support other women when it comes to certain
That's
things. I
true.
can't really explain here because we're not there. I mean, I grew up, my uncle had multiple wives, so in such cases you see, when you're inside the family, you can see that these women don't really support each other. But generally speaking, I think that if you've experienced a female to female relationship, I mean platonic friendship relationship, it is a beautiful thing. They would be there for you, they would support you, they would listen to you, there'll be that shoulder for you to lean on, and
Right.
it does really help. Now back
Mabel, if I
to
may say this,
yeah,
just to play the devil's advocate
advocate,
here.
yeah.
Yeah. The other part about women is that women are very judgmental.
I was getting there. I was getting there.
Women are very judgmental,
Of
so
other
because
women.
of other
They're
women.
usually
Yes.
the ones that are hindrance to the other women
They-
than the men.
exactly,
Yes.
exactly, more than the men. So,
Mhm.
I can remember when I got divorced. One of the first people who actually laughed at me for being a failure
A
were
woman.
women. Who would make snide comments, and they'll be like, that one everything say beauty. When people they choose must I go marry at 26. You know, those things come from women.
Yeah.
They do.
However, I still have experienced the most supportive relationships from women, most supportive. I'm just trying to put this out there, just because
Yeah,
we
to
don't want
balance
to
it.
invalidate other
Yes.
women's experiences, where they say, okay, the women, I work as a female leader in my organization. The other women who work in this organization will see other women as
Threats.
competition.
Mhm.
Threats.
They see you as a competition, they see you as a threat,
Mhm.
and they wouldn't want to share the same space with you.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They exist, but more than ever, we're seeing women understand that this mutual experience in the boardroom, when shared, you know, is creating a network of social, economic, and professional support.
Mhm.
So we're really seeing an uprising of female leaders across the globe, and who are willing to support each other.
I agree.
Mhm.
Really agree.
Yeah, that is powerful. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. So today, do we think that with the advent of social media, does social media help to sustain this female friendship or to break it apart? Let me say why I asked that question. Gloria and I were university together, classmates. I'll meet you at school. Mostly at school, we hang out. Sometimes you come to my little room, I come to little room. After that, I don't really see you, right? If it's not school, if it's not your apartment, or I mean,
we didn't
you
have
know,
cell phones at the time, remember too.
we didn't have cell
No.
phones.
What?
So my question is heading towards today. If we were in that same situation, by the time you and I depart and you put something online where maybe you're eating some nice meal somewhere or you're hanging out with
And
somebody
I
else
don't like.
and I don't like it, right? How do you feel? And secondly, do I feel like, oh, I'm not enough of a friend to her, so when she leaves me, she goes somewhere else? Does social media help to sustain these friendships today or to break them apart, Gloria?
I think it just depends on who you are. Social media amplifies who you are. Okay. So it depends on your intention. If you leave your whole definition of who you are to the likes
Great word,
and
intention.
shares and all of that from people, then you haven't understood intrinsically like who you are. Inherent, you should have value for yourself, whether somebody acknowledged that or not. So if I posted, my post was intended for people to come and say, yes, I do post things. Mostly I post things that have to do with the gospel or my family, where I share my kids' experiences, because I have a group of friends or family members that are in other places. They're not necessarily there. I can't text everybody. Then they can see it and I can share my joy. I walk away. Sometimes I don't even read all the comments because my life is honestly really very busy. So if you read that, obviously we all want to be validated, But I just wrote something even not too long ago, and I said, you have to be able to identify what part of validation are you looking for. I don't have, you set that expectation. My goal is lower the expectation that you have of other people and increase your own expectation for others. So I'm that one that will applaud everybody because I want to set an example. I will cheer other women. I will celebrate other women. I will lift other women. I will share their things to be, because everybody needs someone, at least one or two people that can say, you're doing a good job. Because you would like to yourself to say, I don't like it when, say, my friend sees my post and say, I really love this, right? There should be that sense, but to expect people, everybody to say something about it every time, you have an issue and you need to address that. You have an issue with your own self-worth that you need to address. So it is not realistic. And social media, the question was, is it causing people to come closer? Unfortunately, I have a teenager in my house. I've given him a cell phone. I just sent him a thing the other day that said, my teenager sleeps with his phone, eats with his phone, but when I call him, I don't get him. So it's an illusion of connection. People are not communicating, not even that. Like, you see people put like emojis, but those emojis don't even represent what their emotional appearance, like emojis that are crying, but they are not even teary, So I don't think it's either amplifying or it's great. I must say that there've been some relationships, not friendship per se. There's at least one friendship. There's a lady on there. Maybe she would see me now. So I'm gonna call her name Sister Dora. I knew Sister Dora from Dora again, Dorothy.
Another Dora.
Yes, Sister Dora. I just knew her online, and she would put things like when I'm online on one of my the programs that I used to do, or before even that, then I connected with her. She connected with me via Facebook Messenger, and introduced herself to me. And then because I just, to just a servant heart, we built a relationship from there. Before I knew, she was calling me, we're having conversations, and it's been over 5-6 years. Even today, I see that she just texted me not too long ago. It doesn't go a week or two that she'll send a message, how are you doing, and there is an investment that's being poured us. Unless you put in that extra level of investment, time investment, effort, support, it doesn't go any further than it is. So there has to be some kind of investment put into it. Otherwise, social media is neither amplifying nor widening relationships.
I like that. And keyword from what you just said is intention. The intention of why you're putting it out there and what you expect of it. Somebody sent me a personal voicemail one time that whenever I post something about JJ Vikings, she responds, I don't reply to her comments, I reply to others. The words were stop the pacha. And because it was a voice message, I could get the emotions in it. So I called this person back. I said, excuse me. So yeah, social media, you know, again, it depends on the intention. Dorothy, you had something to add to that.
I just,
But first of all, you're very intentional on social media, Dorothy. I think you are, because you told me I'm not on Facebook. I have Instagram to use for what I want to use for, and your posts are very specific, strict, and intentionally directed to
yeah,
certain things.
yeah,
Yeah. So yeah.
yeah. You guys remember Marshall McLuhan's and the Global Village?
Yeah.
The
You
global
guys
village,
Yeah.
do?
yes.
Marsha
Yes,
McLuhan, the
And
global,
the
yeah,
global
Dr. Enoch
village.
Tanjo. Oh my God.
Oh my goodness.
yes, yes. So what we didn't know was the over reliance on screens.
So true.
You
So
know,
true.
what we are so keen on exploring the merits of the global village,
Yeah.
you know, but also the cons are catching up with us. You
Very
know,
quickly.
we're too quickly we become
Dependent.
performative,
Mm.
demonstrative kind of people. If you're doing something, it has to be recorded and put
Yeah.
on social media, otherwise it didn't happen. And I would go to trips. I would travel to wherever I'm traveling. I'm here,
Travel the world, yeah.
close to Italy,
You
for
don't put it.
example. You would never know where I am,
Mhm.
because what matters and what leaves a lasting memory is my experience. It's sitting in that moment and experiencing it, and decoding it in my mind's eye, committing it to my existential memory instead of putting it out there. That is what counts for me. you know what I've seen is, on social media, is very performative.
Oh yes, that's
Uh,
the word.
girls trip, self-care, and I'm just like, self-care is an innate journey. Self-care is an introspective journey. There's no way you can post self-care on social media. There is no way. you know
People say
Girls
there is a
trip.
way, because the people who work on that as a full-time job, people who have like a lifestyle,
Yeah.
like you said,
Have
performance
Exactly.
on social
authority
media.
on that.
So
Yeah.
they're able to
Performative,
post everything,
demonstrative,
yeah,
you
in
know.
order to make money out of it. So if you're not
Yes,
able to be friends with Gloria because that's what she does, then you cannot hang out with her during that time of your life, or of
That's
her
yes,
right.
yes.
performance. So keep the friendship the way you want it to be. And when she's doing her performance online, which brings her income for some people, then let her do
Mhm.
it.
Or which brings her validation, because some
Yeah.
people want validation. They live for the likes. They live for someone coming and, oh God, your
Spotlight.
shoes, you know.
It was red
But
bottom.
yes, yes,
Yes.
yes, yes. I mean, um, but what is for me really derogatory about social media and friendships is that it's created an unrealistic room for comparison. Very
Mm.
unrealistic. People are talking recently about a lot about how much should your friendship cost.
Oh,
Hmm.
what?
Hmm.
Okay,
How
that's a new
much?
concept to me.
Yeah, it's a new concept. Do you want to, do we want to have that trip to Dubai? Do we want to make sure that we all wear our Gucci's and Pradas and take pictures? How much is your friendship worth? You
Yeah.
know, and I personally think that that is the flip side of the global village of
Mm.
social media.
I see why you
You
began
know,
with that. Yeah, that's
that
true.
is the
That
flip
is.
side of the global village.
Hmm.
We're prioritizing quantity over quality.
That's
We
right.
are we are we're qualifying friendship with a lot of superficiality,
Mhm.
Exactly. Shallow. Yeah.
and it's too shallow, lack of depth, you
Mhm.
know, and that's why I always say that friendship is not transactional.
Mm-mm.
I will not base my friendship on how much I like your post. I personally, there's some of
You
my
don't even like it
closest
at
friends,
all, or you don't
my
even comment at
sisters.
all.
I don't even see when they post
Mhm.
because my algorithm on Instagram, what I do on Instagram, I look at sports, so exercises, I look at motivational quotes, I look at skincare, and that's what my algorithm shows me, when I'm doing those things. So I would not, I don't click on people's personal stories on Instagram. I actually just go in and I'm like, oh, this is a nice quote, and I'll make a screenshot. You know,
Nice.
those are the things that
Yeah, and
interest
you
me
send
on
some to
social
me
media.
as well. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes, and when I see them and they touch me, and I will share with friends, I'll be like, oh, have you seen this new podcast? Do you want to listen to this? I'll share the link. But I am not there to like my friends because in real life, I love my friends, and that
Wonderful.
outweighs my heart
Mm-hmm.
on social media.
I agree.
The
If your
heart
friend
I
is
will give you on
online,
social
yeah,
media.
on the other side, if your friend is promoting a business or an
Yeah, it's
event,
always good. Yeah.
it's okay for us to support, but we're not
Oh,
here to say that.
I will
Correct.
share and support.
We're
Mhm.
not here to say that social media is bad. No, we're trying to balance it out. So much say, oh, they were saying that social media is not good for friendship. It is good for friendship. Some people depend on it for their income. So in that case,
Livelihood, right?
yeah, their livelihood. So we keep doing that. Okay. Wow, we're almost at the end of this conversation today. I can't
Went
believe
by
it, but
fast.
I want to say this. We talked about common interests when you're making friends, right? I think that the way that we here started our friendship was based on some kind of intuition. Because Dorothy
Mm,
said she was a bad girl kind of person. I wasn't, and I'm not that kind of a person. But when I met you, Doro, if you were looking at that person who has to be the same like you, we wouldn't have been friends at all.
mm-mm,
So I think we
mm-mm.
had some intuition that helped us as well, because today, if I meet Dorothy and we say hello, we're working together, next time I'm like, is she on social media? How's her life like? Before I decide to be her friend or not. But we followed our instincts. We followed, how else can I put it? Help me, Gloria. There's
No,
something that
that's
we
that
just,
you you're
Shared
saying it right.
values.
yeah, we
Yeah.
Shared
just followed,
values.
and shared value, and the shared values revealed themselves over time.
Over time. Yeah.
Over
Yes.
time.
I think people get impatient these days and they get like,
People
I
do
think
get
Dorothy put it very
impatient.
well. They
Yes.
get very shallow, they have very superficial needs, and so they don't connect at a
Mm,
deeper level. So our friendship was built at that time. We were kids to start with. I mean, we were in our teenage years too when we started being friends.
yes.
So we grew, it's not like there were times, I don't even remember us having any issues. We were just, it was just sisters. Like if you live in the house with your sister, you live in the same house, you have no choice. Even if you don't agree with them, that's your house, that's your friend. So I remember that opposites attract life sometimes,
Yes.
because there is a
Yes.
balance that you offer me that I did not have. So
Mm.
maybe I was very friendly with everybody. She taught
I
me how
know.
to
Yes.
tell. And so I'm like, when I'm working with her, she's like talking to this person, waving this one.
You
So,
always wait.
and I'm like, I just want to go. It's very, but it shaped me. It helped me. People that know me now, they think I'm more of a talkative person, but
No,
maybe I don't
Gloria
know.
wasn't. Mm-hmm.
I was
Gloria
that person
wasn't.
that I just wanted to shy away. And sometimes, oh, I did remember one experience that was so embarrassing to me. Like we were in these two people, because we didn't have like boyfriends, that kind of a thing. We didn't have that. So then I'm like standing, there was one of our friends who had relationship, and so whenever that kind of emotional thing is going on, you don't even know what to say. I don't know
See,
what question. I just
yeah.
asking the same question twice because I was so nervous. I didn't know, what do you say when there's a boy and a girl standing and talking? Like, how do you talk to them? So I didn't have social skills. So
Yeah.
I just felt like, that person that had left like that. I just didn't
You're
feel that.
so book smart. So book smart.
So, but I found a lot of time in the library. The library was where I would spend
Yeah.
time. So I
Yes.
didn't go to social events. I spent time in the library.
Mm-hmm.
So we had things that pulled us together,
Mm-hmm.
right? So today, people will connect, like now that Dorothy talked about, which is such a strange concept, to say I'm going to
How much
look
does your
at
friendship cost?
value.
I haven't heard that.
I have not heard that.
No, and I'm on social media.
But I also think social media just being in the front and the face of people, to that break that would have with each other, also gave an empty space for us to always come back together and feel that sense of, oh, intimacy again. I want to talk to my friend again. And then we'll go up. I mean, we used to have that kind of, we walk together until great, you know.
Back again.
And then
come back.
Come back.
Wait.
Phones, you know, so we had the opportunity to pour into each other, to the point where when the other person wasn't there, you felt even sick. Like I felt that, that's how I felt. When she wasn't, like something's happening. When I said, oh, you know, we kept going and we were talking. We never lacked something to talk about. So the one thing I want to say about social media too is this, you know, for those of you that are out on social media, I take social media breaks. There are times when I
you do.
I leave completely as long as 6 months not on social media. Because, you know, when you have a busy life, you know, there are other things that you can invest, because sometimes you can dumb scroll on that thing, you know, and
it's so intrusive.
Yeah.
So intrusive.
Social media is good, but don't put too much investment on. You know, use it for entertainment, I use it for ministry, I use it for, you know, making sure I keep tabs what's happening with my friends, encourage them, support them. But no, we should never have friendships where we are thinking, what am I getting out of it? The moment you think like that, then it doesn't go deep, because that's what we are talking about here.
Yeah, I agree.
A deep sense of belonging.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right. We're rounding off here.
And maybe if I may, I think the one aspect that builds genuine friendships is authenticity. You know, so if you have a social media persona, you know, we have people, I'm sorry to say this, but we do have people, if you meet them in real life, you will not recognize them because of the filters. And, you know, so if you really have this online persona, how do you want to build intense, true bonds with people when you're not being your authentic self? The reason why you and I connected was because of authenticity, because I was my true self and you were your true self. Gloria was her true self. She did not need to take up a persona to connect with you.
Yeah.
You know, so, and I think that's and then we have kind of like the expectation that, I mean, we're so used to speedy things, snappy things, DHL, Amazon relationships, you know, relationships time to nurture and grow. Relationships are not built overnight. Because you connect with someone, you know, you want to let the relationship fester. You want to let that marinate in experience. You want to let that, you know, grow, you know. And sometimes, you know, this I met this person today, tomorrow I want to have this serious connection with this person, and I'm not giving that person space. You know, the absence makes the heart grow fonder, and it's true. Right. That was the quality that we had growing up, because there was not omnipresence of Mabel in my life. You know, I didn't see her until the next day, and that when we finished our internships at Cantel, I would not see her for a week. But then when I saw her, so like, you know, but we don't let that happen anymore in relationships, you know. So if there's anything that I would like to share with anybody out there, is be your authentic self. Like, be your authentic self. Let relationships, friendships, let them nurture, let them grow. Give them time. Give them time, and give them a distance. Create emotional distance so that you can build a relationship with yourself through introspection before going in to have a relationship with someone externally. You know, friendship, love relationship with your children, you know, it's built on also on the introspection. So sorry, maybe my belle chocolate.
My bad.
When you talked about social media earlier, I forgot to take us to conflict on social media when it comes to friendship, right? How do we even resolve conflicts when we are depending on social media to build a friendship, and then we depend on that same platform to resolve conflicts when it comes to friendship? We've seen today where I have an issue with Gloria, I don't talk to her, but I go put it online
I
and ask the
know.
world to judge. So that's where I was heading to when I said, does social media help to build friendship or to just tear it apart? And let's wrap up with conflict resolution. Can we resolve conflicts between
Yes.
friends on social media,
No.
between female friends? If we can, should we? Otherwise, how can we resolve relationship dispute between female friends? Gloria.
Yeah, you know, recently I actually had a conversation with a lady because she was posting, you know, that when somebody goes out and they're venting, you know, on social media, and what she was worried about or concerned about made sense. But you know, I also look out for my friends and my sisters. So I called her privately and I tried to understand where she was coming from, and I heard the whole story. So I said, if peradventure that person actually knew that, because her whole idea was, hopefully I put it out there, she would know that, you know, I'm talking about her, which I know she wasn't going to confront her in this situation, but she was going to address the attitude or character behind it. So I said that some of those fights, they are needless, because if peradventure starts responding to you, are you going to keep responding? I said, there's one thing that my mom told me, and I keep that up to today. There are actually two things that she told me, but one of them is this. She said, if you are bathing in the water and a crazy person, the fool comes and grabs your clothes and you're running on the street, and you leave the water and follow them, they will know which one is crazy.
You follow the Christmas empty last.
And then she didn't really acknowledge that, and I said, don't waste your time. I mean, saying thing and all of that venting, and it's not going to matter to people that have that character anyways. They can take you down to the gutter, and you don't want to. You need to define your lines. So I say, if it's somebody, if I'm not happy with a situation or something that somebody said, if I have a relationship with them, I can go to them. If I don't have a relationship with them, I can walk away from that. So you know, it's not everything that you have to address, you have to say, and then it says more of you than the other person.
That's right.
So if you want to resolve, conflict resolution is done in an intimate environment between two people. Even Macho 18 principle says, if you have something against another person, go to that person. If you cannot reach out to that person, if that
Take
person is that valuable, take another person first, you know, to them. Maybe they will listen to that person. Before you take it to the great, you know, there are so many, you can walk that journey with people, but social media amplifies things. Before you know, another person will throw in some fuel to that fire, and then it will be hard for you yourself to contain. So no, not a good idea.
And social media exacerbates misunderstanding.
It does.
You know, I can send you an icon. It meets you in an emotional space. I can send you an emoticon and like, you know, like this. We're using, Mabel, you and I, our communication is with Yvonne. We're always using like all of these funny pictures.
You guys have the best emojis. I don't have those things on my phone.
We have emojis that express everything and nothing, you know. And I can send you an emoji from my own place of understanding, and it meets you at a place of misunderstanding.
Oh, that's
and
right.
it gets misinterpreted, and it exacerbates then the misunderstanding. So what do we do? I think that the one beautiful thing that I have always had with my girlfriends that I love until has helped me also to have. You have to call Kidinga. I'm sorry, my son is calling.
Okay.
Zindana call Kidina. Yeah. For everyone, I'm about to pick up my son, and that's why. So,
No problem.
but you know what? I was saying that one of the beautiful things that I've experienced is having hard conversations.
Transparency.
Having those hard conversations. You know, when you can do a lot of introspection, you can go to your friend and actually feel admonished by your friend without feeling hurt, without feeling like, oh, she hates me. Feel like your friend is telling you the truth because you have established a relationship based on mutual communication and open, honest communications.
Mhm.
You can tell your friend at this moment, I cannot talk. And your friend will meet you in a place of at a place of understanding, you know. And it's not something you can do on a platform like Facebook or you can never establish that you need in-person interpersonal communication for that to be able to take place, you know. So I don't think that social media is meant for that, by the way. So because you know what social media has done is create a blame and shame culture,
Yes.
you know, and that is actually not what it is supposed to be. It's supposed to bridge the geographical gap between people, you know. It's
Simply
not
to make it
meant
a
for you
global
to
village.
The global village concept.
Macha McLuhan,
It's a
global
global village.
village.
Period.
Yeah,
Oh,
period. But it's not meant for you to, you know, hang your dirty linen in public.
public. Yeah, in
Mm.
public.
And you said something, and I just chip in this for Mabel and I because it'll make people learn. We like there were times when we had some issues together, even her and I. But I remember being the one to say I'm sorry. I remember that. I remember being able to say, because I think people, the language of saying a language of apology is so heavy on people's mouth where they cannot just, if you did something wrong to your friendship and that friendship is valuable to you, you will take that, go to the person and say, I'm sorry. You don't know
I
how it may,
opened up to you why I was hurt.
yes,
Yeah.
he was hurt. And I heard her and I said, I'm very sorry. And I sought that reconciliation. I did because I wrote, she didn't respond. I kept seeking. So you gotta have, because I saw value. I'm like, I'm not gonna let this come between us just because of this one thing. So true relationships will go through all of those. Even people that have like marriages, you will go through all of those things. It's how you mend, how you the growth that you have within you, the level of growth that you have within you will inform your actions on the outside. It's nothing for me to say to my son. My son will come to me and say, Mom, you weren't supposed to say this to me. I say, I'm very sorry, son. I'm very sorry. That humility alone, that's part of building a relationship.
I love that.
So I just wanted to add that to
I'm
it.
so glad you mentioned that. And even, I mean, I also had a similar thing with a mutual friend, Yvonne. You mentioned her name here earlier. So Dorothy and I and Yvonne worked together at the radio. We're roommates because, we're all JMC students. And when we reconnected, I said, Yvonne, you hurt me. And we talked about it. And I told you, Dorothy, I said, I had to talk to Yvonne first before we can talk together. So we had that conversation. And just like Gloria addressed this, we also addressed it. And now we have a beautiful child group of 3 sisters that is going to last a lifetime. And I just hope that our children meet somewhere. And to also add to that example, just yesterday, Laura, Karun Jume, I sent her a voicemail because when I went to University of Boya the first year, she kept telling me, don't tell me this, you told me a lot. I said, I went to University the first year, the very first year, I went to go look for my placement at wherever I applied, JMC, right? I was given the space, but I didn't know how I'm going to go to school because I didn't have a place to stay. I met her by chance on campus. We were classmates in secondary school. I told her my issue. She said, oh, can't stay with me. I've already paid for 1 year. That's how I lived with her for a year. And she said, on your own time. So I paid the rent on my own time. Fast forward, over 20 years later, I have a niece in University of Boya. Same situation. She needs a roommate. The roommate doesn't have money. I said, no, I'll pay. Let the roommate come live with you and let her pay back on her own time. So yesterday I called Carol. I said, Carol, I did this because of what you did for me over 20 years ago. Yes. And I told this little girl because they had an issue with my niece. I said, let me tell you a story. if you are having an issue with my niece today, you're blocking somebody's blessing in the future, because somebody will meet you and want to bless you. I'll say, no, because you had done this to somebody I know. Don't do that. I'm blessing you today without knowing you, because somebody blessed me more than 20 years ago. I don't know you. So don't block somebody's blessing years to come. And that little girl had been quoting this to me. I say, yes, don't do that. Don't block somebody. So us being here today and having this deep conversation, you know, it's just to remind people that if I am your friend and we break up, it's not just the two of us breaking up. 50 years from today, when the name Gwenson comes up, the name Etuge comes up, say, oh, that person, somebody will be losing something because of your action as a bad friend. So friendship is very important. Despite its complexities, we have to do our best to keep it going. We all falter. We all fall short of being a good friend. When you do that, recognize it, acknowledge it, and say, my friend, you did this to me. And let that other friend say, I am sorry.
That's right.
I love you, my
I
friend.
love that. I love you. I love you,
Talk to me, Africa.
today.
I like to pick people's brains about African proverbs. You know that, because you've been here before.
Yes.
No, Gloria, you've been here before. What am I thinking? Yeah, Gloria has been here before. Oh my goodness.
I've been here before.
Yeah, I forgot, because I think because I had thought about friendship with you so much that I think it was the first show today. But anyways, African proverb. Let's talk about the way Africans think, the way they speak sometimes, that you have to really put yourself in that space to understand. Do you have an African proverb for us, Gloria?
I do, because we're talking about friendship. So the one that I like is hold a true friend with both hands.
Ouch.
And so I love, it's an African proverb. It just means value a true friend, because it's not always, come by. You have some friends, the Bible talks about a true friend that sticks closer than a brother, right? And so, yes, that is mine.
Hold your friends with 2 hands. And it's good because, one hand is not as supportive as both hands. So you need 2 hands.
So it's secure. It's more like security. Do everything to keep it safe.
I love that. And thank you so much for bringing that here today. Yes, the ever-wise Dorothy.
So Gloria just gave me an idea, because I wasn't prepared for this part, even though I've been here, I don't know how many times, 4 or 5 times. You cannot hold a bundle of broom with one hand. I think there's something like that. Like you need both hands to tie a broom together.
Yes.
I think it's a breaking part. It's a breaking.
Is it the strength of it?
Is it
the strength of it?
It like how would you tie a broom?
Oh, okay. You can tie one hand.
With one hand. You need 2 hands,
Right.
and so it's that bond, that friendship bond, which is also functional, like we said, which has also a functional effect in our lives and in generational lives, in generations to come behind us. Yeah.
Oh, both of you with both hands. I do. Thank you so much for
I
being
cherish you.
And for sharing this. May our friends
now that I know you. In fact, I was actually going to reach out to the other sister, this girl.
Yes.
Because I see maybe I post her all the time. So I need to reach out.
That's the one was supposed to be
my
here.
Friend.
Yes, please. I said I'll connect you. She's the other person who's supposed to be here. She's wonderful. I've known her for over 30 years. Yes.
Can we maybe just say what we're experiencing is something that, the kind of friendship that we formed and experienced is something that might be foreign to our children. And so we need to be very intentional about, friendships and creating friendships for our children and helping them.
We had intuition in our own forming of the friendship. Yeah. There was some intuition
because today... It's a different generation now.
Yeah, it's a different generation.
Yes.
A different generation. Snapchat and all of that.
I know. Oh,
unfortunately.
I'm not letting you ladies go, but I have to. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Gloria, I'll call
Thank
you
you so much.
All
right. Thank you.
Dora, say hi to your son. He's doing great.
Nice to meet you.
We'll do.
Bye.
Same here.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone online. Bye.